Hi, Miss MonMon. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to do some spooky crafting and we will be making a pink witch's hat. Now, when I was coming up with this idea, I just finished watching The Love Witch. If you haven't seen it, it is such a beautiful film. The colors in it, and it's all filmed to look like it's from the 60s or the 70s. As soon as I finish watching it, I just want to wear blue eyeshadow and pink. Oh, it's beautiful. But in one scene, she wears this iconic pink hat, and that is where I drew my inspiration from. All I really did was change the top of the hat to become more witchy cone shaped. And of course, if you are on my Instagram, you know how much I love a hat with a chin strap. And that is my basic inspiration for today. Now I'm going to come straight up and say that whilst I was looking up the proper dimensions and the sizing of a witch's hat, I came across this amazing blog and tutorial by Miss Kiko Lin, and it is so close to my idea I thought I would definitely reference it if you would like to see how she did it. For this project, you will need about 1.5 meters of felt in whatever color you want. I of course chose pink. Basic sewing supplies, some bias tape to match your hat. Now, because this hat is so customizable, besides the felt, you can really add whatever you want to it. I went for some bias tape around the ends because I really like clean ends. I found some floral ribbon and some extra flowers. So to adhere whatever goodies you would like, you can use hot glue or you can sew, depending on what you prefer. Now, to show you how I made my hat, we are going to hand it over to VoiceOver MonMon. Take it away.
Hi everybody, it's VoiceOver MonMon here. So let's start with a piece of felt 14 by 22 inches. We are going to fold that in half like so. Grab your measuring tape and we are going to mark out a 14-inch mark whilst anchoring the top of our measuring tape into the corner. This piece is going to create the pointy part of the witch's hat, so the cone. Once you reach the end, mark along the 14-inch line. Grab your super sharp scissors and cut along your markings. And you should have a shape that looks like this. So now we are going to sew along this part right here. If you don't have a sewing machine, you can hot glue anything you need to. Now that we've made the witch's cone, we are going to make the brim of the hat. You will need 2 pieces of felt, 16 by 16 inches, and a piece of interfacing at the same measurement. Take one of your squares and fold it in half, and then in half again. You are going to grab your measuring tape and anchor it in the top folded corner as you mark out 9 inches from one side to the other. Cut along your markings and you should, hopefully, be left with a circle of felt, like so. Now don't unfold it. This is just for demonstration purposes. Next, you are going to measure the circumference of your head, and then anchoring your measuring tape, you are going to mark the radius and then cut it out. Now this should hopefully, in theory, create a donut shape. Ta-da! Grab your second piece of square felt, align your donut shape, and then you are going to basically cut out the same shape twice. I just did that by cutting out the ends, creating some markings onto the inner donut and cutting that out. On one of your donuts, you are going to add some interfacing, so go ahead, iron that on, and cut off any excess. Jumping back on the sewing machine, we are going to sew the edges of the donuts together. This is also where you will be putting your bias tape, and unfortunately my bias tape was too thin, so I couldn't actually fit it into the machine, So I use some fabric glue, so keep that in mind as an option in case you also get stuck. Then we are going to add our cone to the brim of the hat. Do this by very slowly pinning the cone to your hat. Take your time doing this and make sure it all lines up. Mine worked out pretty well. Don't worry if it's too lumpy, we can always smooth it out later. Once you're happy with where you've pinned, go ahead and sew that together. I will make a note and make sure that your bobbin has thread in it, because unfortunately, right now, sewing MonMon is sewing absolutely nothing, and we'll figure that out in 5 minutes time. Have a sook, a cup of tea, and then get right back to it. Once your hat is assembled, you can now decorate it as you wish. I started by adding some hot glue to some floral ribbon and putting that along the brim line where the brim meets the cone. It just added a little bit of whimsy. It didn't take too long. After that, I added some flowers which were left over from my wedding. I will be using them up for years to come. And then to finish the look, I cut a meter of some tulle fabric. The spots were super cute. And I hot glued it to the sides of the hat because I love me a chin strap. And she was done.
So this is my finished hat, which I love. I am really happy with the way it turned out. I really love how close to my original reference she was. I think the love witch would approve of my hat. Now, to take her out for a test run, I ended up going to the S&R Orchard, which is up in the Perth Hills, when they had their Blossom Festival. I paired her with the pink Maria dress from Sarsaparilla, which is one of my favourite vintage reproduction companies. And I had a wonderful day frolicking amongst the blossoms. For me, the best part of this entire project was actually seeing all the little kids light up when they saw me. I had one little girl in absolute shock say to her mum, "Oh, I thought witches only wore black." And it was so exciting to show kids that they can be their own version of whatever they wanted to be. I did have one little girl, every time she saw me, would run at me and give me a cuddle. It is so hard in COVID times not to cuddle her back, and her parents said it was okay, so I could give her the biggest, squishiest cuddle ever. If you do decide to make this project, please let me know. I'd love to see what your witch's hat looks like. Of course, feel free to make it in whatever colour you'd like. I'd love to make a dark green version and add some autumn leaves and some pumpkins, so that might be what I do next year. This tutorial hopefully is a lot simpler to do than it is to explain. Yeah, got a bit tricky there. That is all I have time for you guys today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and spending some time. If you would like images or a detailed description of this tutorial, please head to my blog to read all about it and see extra photographs. You can find that in the description box below. As always, you can also find me on any of my social media. I am back into the swing of the social media posting, which is really exciting, and trying to relearn Reels again because it's been a while since we touched on that topic. I will see you guys all next week with a brand new video, but until then, be kind, be true, be you, and have a great week. Bye! If I was professional, I would have had all this printed out. Oh, that's right, the printer's not working. Haha, excuses.